מבחן גישות, September 23rd, לחלק הפתוח, שאלה 4. I'm not going to read the entire question, but just to really give a sikum of, assuming you read the entire question, the question is a case of a nachala meaning, in this case it's a moshav, it could have been a kibbutz, and we're told that in 2005, this man, Mar Shitrit, Ben Shitrit, he purchased this nachala. It is not in any Ezor Difut Lomit, and we're told that the Nachala is close to 3 dunam, and then we're told that there's 2 Tochniot Me'usharot on it, which are essentially give you your standard Zchuyot that you get in Nachalot, 2 Yechidot Diur plus Yechidat Horim, and we're told that there is a Tochnit Mufkedet V'lo Me'usheret, which is essentially considered what's called potential, which exactly in cases of hakniят balut, Rami will require that you pay not just for the shovi shuk kayom, but also for the potential, and that's why that comes into play. You're told here they're mafna you straight to hachlatot 8.3, and based on the zchut in 8.3, the way you should go about it. Now just skipping, I like to skip down to just the 3 sifim here. The first is ערכו תחשיב לגובה דמי הרכישה שאותם דרש מר בן שיטי לשלם לרמי. So the first question is asking us regarding if you'd want to buy the הקניית בעלות from Rami, what would you have to pay? The second is a question of the היטל השבחה שאותו צפוי לשלם בעתיד לאחר the אישור of the תוכנית that right now is potentialית. And then finally we're asked ערכו תחשיב לגובה דמי הרכישה that have to pay to Rami עבור רכישת זכויות הבעלות בחלקה ובהנחה כי הנחלה הנדון המצוי במושב באזור עוטף עזה הזכאי להנחות אזור. So sometimes it kind of helps to make a sort of just a schematic of how you're going to even approach it before you even get bogged down into the details, although it's easier said than done, but really it can help once you have the bigger picture to then stay the course and take it step by step. So firstly, if we're talking about hakniyat ba'alut, and we're talking about the rechisha of hakniyat ba'alut, we have to know what the rules are. If you look in the hachlatot, specifically in Siman 8.3, essentially there's a few points that have to be taken into consideration, and they basically are really curveballs here. First of all, right off the bat, we know that we have a hezder of Rami of rechishat balut up to 2.5 dunam. Now in our case we're told that it's actually, we're told that he actually has 2.95 dunam. So already you see we have a discrepancy where we're going to have to deal with that extra part. But we're told that up to 2.5 dunam Rami allowed you for a hezder, and the basic rule is that anything from 1993 and on, if you want anything you purchased after 1993, Rami allows you to be rochesh the full zchuyot if you're willing to pay 20% of both the shovi plus the potential. And again, potential means any future zchuyot b'niyah that have not yet been usharot, which in this case is this tochnit mufkedet that we talked about. So you'd pay 20% of the shovi plus the potential. Now keep in mind again, that's only for up to the 2.5 dunam. In our case, we have 2.95 dunam, which means that on the remaining 450 mar, which is not included in this 2.5 dunam, it's not included in the 20%. On that, you're going to be paying 91% full value. Now, it's 91%, but keep in mind that it's 91% of essentially chatzer. You have a vast amount of land here, and the zechuyot b'niyah at most, how many houses they can allow you to build. So the remaining after the 2.5 dunam is essentially going to be shovi mar akvi of a chatzer, so it's not going to be that much, but it still has to be counted differently. So that's going to be 91%. So already we have an approach here that we're going to have to take the tochniot that we have in place, which we have 2 yechidot dior, plus we also have a yechidat horim, and these are all under that which is meusharot, and we're going to come to some kind of a mar akvi of all this, and that mar akvi is going to be some kind of a mar akvi. Plus, we're going to have, that's all plus, the potential of an additional yechidat dior, which we said. And that's going to also be some kind of a mar akvi. And here also keep in mind that potential is going to be b'dichiyah, because we're told that it's only in 2 years that it's going to be meushar. So you're going to have a dichiyah of 2 years, 2 shanim, and at 6%. This total value then of this entire thing is going to be taken of it 20%. Plus, we're going to have to also take 91% of that which is beyond 2.5 dunam. So I'll just say 91% of the 450 mar akvi of that dunam. These two things together will be the total value you're going to pay to Rami for the hakniat ba'lut. Now, this is all great up until now. The only problem that you actually have with all of this, let me see if I can. There you go. The problem that you have here is that we don't have any values. How are you going to calculate how much you should pay to Rami if you don't know anything about value? So we're given one iskat hashva'a, and from that we have to work with for everything else. And that iska, we're told, that's where we're going to have to be our starting point. Actually, before I mentioned that was all in regard to Seif Aleph. This is all in regard to Seif Aleph regarding B'chisha for Rami. Seif Bet is dealing with the question of Hitel Hashbacha. So Hitel Hashbacha, we know, is going to be in 2 years' time. What will be the Hashbacha between the land as it was without this new Tochnit and the land as it is with the new Tochnit? So that's going to be essentially, in order to calculate Seif Bet, you're going to have to calculate what is the added value of this additional Yechidah Shlishit, which we're told we can build. Now there is a little bit of a curveball, and that is that we know that there's a difference between Hitel Hashbacha versus Tashlumei Rami. The difference is that Tashlumei Rami look at the Karka Kereka Upnuya Lelo Ma'am Ulelo Pituach. So if you're talking at a Karka Kereka Upnuya for Tashlumei Rami, that means that when in the test question, when they asked you regarding they mentioned here in the question that you have Trumat Shovi of a Mivne Kayam, 3,000 mar, Alut Harisa, and Alpi the Chavat Dad of the Adrichal, you cannot be memamesh the Zuchuyot of this Tochrit Mufkedet without destroying that. All that is not relevant for the question of Sifal of Tashlum Rami, because Tashlum Rami doesn't take into consideration the Mivne. It looks at it as though in some abstract form you just have Karka Reka. All these nitunim here is only in regard to Seif Bet, as an added point to keep in mind. Yeah, so with that, now we can go to trying to figure this out, and we have to come to some shovi mar akvi. There's no way to continue here if we don't have a shovi mar akvi. And with that having been said, now I'm going to try to calculate shovi mar akvi from my iskat hashva. So we're told in iskat hashva veshetach migrash of 500. Okay, and I'm told, this is an added point that they pointed out that was important to note, that I don't know where it was, elsewhere in this question they pointed out that it's mikubal, that you always build everything bekumat karka, everything is chad kumati. But in this particular iskat hashva, it's not the case. There's a migbala on the tachsit. Tachsit is only 35%, which means it's going to force you to build shtei komot. And since you're going to be forced to build shtei komot, you're now going to have a few things to take into consideration because of it. So let's work it out. First of all, we told that the tachsit, we're told, was 35%, which 35% of the 500, 35% of 500 yields you 175 mar. Now, I want to know what the komat karka of the iskat hashva'a is. I can't calculate the komat karka ikari, I should say, of the iskat hashva'a. Well, the only way I can know how much ikari gets on the komat karka is if I can first calculate how much shitchei sharut is on the komat karka, because also we were told in the question that all the shitchei sharut are on the komat karka. The chanaya has to be b'komat karka, and we're told that also the mamad and the machsan are going to be b'komat karka. So if you do just a quick look at the question, you can see that you have 12 for mamad, 25 chanaya, 10 for machsan. You have a total of 47 mar shitchei sharut. So that immediately is going to be deducted from your tachsit, and therefore you're going to be left with, if you're taking away 47 of the tachsit just for shitchei sharut, you're left with 128 on the komat karka, which is then going to leave you on the koma rishona. You're going to have the remainder of the 200, which you're given for ikari, which is going to be 72. And keep in mind that the mekadem for koma rishona is different than the mekadem for koma karka. Then you're going to have your boilerplate shitchei sharut. You have a mamad, you have a machsan, and you have a chanaya. And we're told that the mamad is 12, I believe. The machsan was 10, and the chanaya was 25. Let me see if I can actually bring this back a little bit more. And we were told that the mamad's mekadem was 0.8, the machsan was 0.4, the chanaya was 0.35. And now we come to the most important, more interesting of the chatzer. The chatzer is going to be basically the hefresh between the shetach migrash and the tachsit. That's going to be 325. And we're told that up to 1500 mar, the mikadem for chatzer is 0.20. So I do this calculation, and if you do this calculation, you'll come to, as they said in the pitaron here, you'll come to 280.2 mar akvi. If you divide that by the sales price, you will get 34.98 shach per mar akvi. And now this is going to be very important. That's going to be my shovi mar akvi for all my other calculations. Every time I translate something into a mar akvi, I'm going to then translate it into shkalim, convert it into shkalim by way of this ratio. So let's note that now. And now we can go on to actually taking apart the rest of the case. So, as we said in the beginning, we have to come to now, we're going to be trying to calculate the mar akvi of the 2 yechidot diur plus the 2 yechidot diur that you have, plus the yechidad horim, plus the potential of a 1 yechidot diur in potential. Plus we have to calculate the mar akvi of 450 chatzer. So now we just plug it in and we do it. So we start building our table here. We know we're going to have an ikari, and we're told that everything's built on karka, so there's not going to be any separation between Kuma Rishona and Kuma Aleph. We know the ikari, we're told, was 220 per house, and we know we have 2 houses, and we know the Mekadem for that is 1. We know we have a mamad for them, a machsan for them, and a chanaya. The chanaya, I remember, was 25. I don't recall what the question stated was. We're told that the mamad is 12 and the machsan is 15. Mamad is 15. So the mamad is 12. And again, we have 2 of those and 2 of those and 2 of those. The mamad, I believe, was 0.8. The machsan was 0.4. The chanaya was 0.35. And we also have a Yechidat Horim. Yechidat Horim, we told of 55, and there's only 1 of those. And that is also going to be Bekadem of 1. Now, before I get to the Chatzer, it would bid me well to calculate what this Tachsit is, because that will define and for me my Chatzer. So if you do this calculation, you'll come to a Tachsit, and I'll put this in a different color here. You'll come to a Tachsit of 599. So that if you know that you have a Tachsit of 599, now, I should mention this. This is actually very important. What is going to be of this calculation? What is our Shetach Migrash? And you might be tempted to say that it's the 2.95, but we're not going to do that, because we're calculating right now. Again, we're calculating. What we're interested in is the hesder of the 20%. In other words, the package deal that you get from Rami of 20%. That's only up to 2.5 dunam. The remainder is a different calculation of 91%. So therefore, the Shetach Migrash for our purposes is going to be 2,500, the 2.5 dunam, which means minus the 599 Tachsit is going to leave you. That's going to leave you with 2,500 minus the 599. That's going to leave you with 1901 of a Chatzer. That 1901 is further going to be broken up between a 1,500 Chatzer, which is a Mekadem of 0.20, and a 401 Chatzer, which is a Mekadem of 10. So I'm going to put my Chatzer here now. And that Chatzer is going to be, as I said, 1,500, a Mekadem of 0.2. And in addition, I'm going to have a Chatzer of 401 with a Mekadem of 0.1. And now I'm interested in this entire Mar Akvi of this entire area here, what the calculation is of that. And I came to a calculation of 883.8. I did with that, checking the Ptron notes, and that's exactly what we have here, 883.8. So this is the Mar Akvi of the Zechuyot Meusharot. And now again, remembering that we have our 3498, that's our value for Mar Akvi. This can be easily converted to a value. And that value will be 3498 times 883.8. And that's going to give me this 3 million, let's just call it 3,091,500. Shach. That is the value of the the package of 2.5 dunam as per Rami's Hesder of the Shovi Zchiyot that are right now. Now we have to consider the extra Zchiyot that would be given with the Yechidat Diur Shlishit, which I'm going to try to do it here. Let's see how well I can do it. First of all, let me see if I can just erase. If I can, I'd like to try to erase. Let's erase the Iskat Hashva. We don't need this anymore. Our Iskat Hashva. Okay. And maybe I can actually do this one in a different color also. I'll try yellow here. This is going to be the potential. The potential, we're told in the question, that the potential is a Yechidat Diur of 200, 12 mamad, 10 machsan, 25 chanaya. So, and again, everything is mekumat karka. We're told that it's mekubal, everything's mekumat karka. So you have a komat karka of 200, you have a mamad, machsan, chanaya, and again, and what is the standard pitzul of Yechidat Diur Shlishit? I'm not 100% sure why this is, but it seems to be it's a shetach megrash of 500. So it's a shetach of 500, and your mamad, again, we said was 12, your machsan was 10, your chanaya was 25, right? And your chatzer, now this is where it's actually going to be, it's tricky. When you think about what is the chatzer being added of this potential third property, and what you're going to realize is there's no extra chatzer. This in relation to the original tochni that you have, it's not contributing to more chatzer. You already had chatzer from before. If anything, this takes away your chatzer because you're building on the chatzer that you had in the matzav kayam. So therefore, actually what we're going to need to do is calculate a hefsed chatzer. And the hefsed chatzer is going to be the tachsit of all of this, because that's whatever you're building is taking away from your chatzer. The tachsit here is the tachsit of 247. So your hefsed chatzer is going to be 247. Now here's where it gets tricky for me. I don't fully understand it, but the assumption is that the hefsed chatzer, you're losing the chatzer. We said there was two groups of chatzer, the chatzer before 1500 and the chatzer beyond 1500. They chose to assume that it's miyuchas to the chatzer that's beyond 1500, and therefore they gave it a mekadim of 0.1. So I'll do the same. I don't necessarily understand why it has to be that way, but that's what they did. The chanaya again is 0.35, the machsan is 0.4, the mamad is 0.8, and this is 1. Oops. And this is 1. And now, if I want to know what's the mar akvi of the potential, you will come to, it should come out to 197.7. Let's just assume that this is correct. 197.7 mar akvi. Now again, this is the value of what it will be in 2 years' time, assuming that the shovi mar akvi stays the same. Now you have to do a dichiyah here because you want to know what the shovi is of the potential hayom. You have to be mehavenet. Now you can choose to convert this right now. Convert this 197 right now into a shekel amount, and then do the dichiyah of 2 years, or you can do the dichiyah of 2 years directly on the mar akvi and then convert it. In our case, because of Sif Bet, and Sif Bet asks us what will be the Hitel Hashbacha, so we're actually going to need to know what the shovi of the Hashbacha is in 2 years' time, not just what it is now. So it pays for us to convert it already at this point. So we're going to convert it already now. At 34.98, we're going to have 197.7 times the 34.98. I'm given 691,554. Let's just keep it at 500. Now, after a dechia though, a dechia of 2 years and 6%, so that's going to be divided by 1.06 raised to the 2 years. I'm given 615,500, let's say. So it becomes, that then becomes 615,500. So I now have the potential value. Oops. I now have my potential value, plus I have my shovi value. I can now add these two things together. I have my 3 million. Let me just choose a different, let me take that back for a second if I can. Hoping I could take it back. Take that back. Let's go to green, I guess. I'll have my 3,091,500, which is the shovi zchuyot kayom, plus I'll have my 615,500, which is the potential. That's going to be a total of plus 3 million. About 3.707 million. On that, I'm going to take my 20%. And I'm given 741, about 741,400 shach. Now that's not the full story. That's only on, again, the 2.5 dunam. I still have to calculate. Remember, I still have I just calculate 20% of the 2.5 dunam, both the shovi zchuyot kayom and the potential. I still have to calculate 91% beyond the 2.5 dunam. I still have to calculate my 91% beyond of the 450 mar. So let's do that now. Maybe we could even just do that here. It's really fairly simple, really. You have 450 mar of a chatzer, and we know you're given a mikadem beyond the 1500. You're given a mikadem of 0.1, so that's going to equal 45 mar akvi times our good old ratio of 3498 of shovi mar akvi will yield you 157,410, of which I'm going to take 91% because that's not included in the hesder. My payment is going to be 143,243. So that now the total payment is going to be, we have my 741,400 plus my 143,243, and the total payment should be somewhere around 884,643 shach. And I think you pay ma'am on this, although I don't think they require you to mention that in the question. But I think you're going to pay ma'am on this because you're buying zchuyot. So you're going to pay ma'am. Let's just check that answer. And yes, here you have the 20% on the shovi until 2.5 dunam. You have the 91% on beyond the 2.5 dunam, and that's your 884,647. Beautiful. Okay. Now, if bet is asking you regarding the hitel hashbacha. Now you already calculated over here. You already calculated. When you talked about the potential, you already calculated what the value is going to be of that yichidat diur shlishit, 691,500. And it's even including the hefsed chatzer. So you know in 2 years you're going to be gaining 691,500. So let's just create a new thing here. Let's just go back to something. Let's go to yellow. I like yellow. Stay with yellow. This is for Seif Bet now. For Seif Bet, the Hitel Ashbacha. So we know that in 2 years, like we said, what was the number? We know that in 2 years' time, you will have 691,500 more value. And that's including the hefsed of your chatzer. The only issue is here now is that you have to, for Hitel Ashbacha, consider the aluyot that are included in arriving at this value. And now you're going to consider the issues of the house. So we were told that the Trumat Mivneh, we were told that there's a Mivneh of, was it 100? Let's look up here. It was a Mivneh of 100. And the Shovi is 3,000 shekel per mar. So that is 3,000 times 100 or 300,000. So we're told that the Mivneh is 300,000. Aluyot harisa is 100,000. Now, the Hitel Ashbacha is nivchan based on the shimush hameitavi, and we're told in the question that המבנה הקיים בנחל מפריע למימוש הזכויות בצורה מיטבית. ולצורך מימוש הזכויות הבנייה ליחידת דיור השלישית, יהיה צורך בהריסת המבנה. So, given that's the case that you have to destroy it in order to gain this 691,500, you're going to have to include the aluyot harisa as a loss. Because you need to pay this 100,000 to gain this 691,500. So you have matzav kodem. You have a matzav kodem of 3,091,500 plus, which was for just the karka zchiyot, plus you have a mivneh of 300,000. You have a matzav chadash of 3,091,500 plus, after the yichidat diur shlishit, you have an addition of 691,500 minus the alut of getting rid of the mivneh and the hefresh of these two. The refresh is 291,500. And the hetel of that is 50%. 145,7 is going to be 145,750. Let's check that result. And that's essentially the result here, 145,750.